Alright everyone, let's get started, and welcome back to Oxygen Not Included. I would really like to get this base into livable condition sooner rather than later, but the power core is just starting to come up, and there's a whole lot of things that still need to get done before I can call this base livable. Meanwhile, of course, while I'm busy working on farming and power core and all that, I will need a bathroom for my duplicants as well, so I should probably get around to that sometime. You know, even as the construction progress continues apace, that 59% up by the stress number tells me that my duplicants aren't really enjoying this construction process very much. And you know, I don't think I can blame them for that. This environment really is not conducive to my duplicants just yet. Also, none of the buildings work. With the power in order, I've gotten myself thoroughly distracted from setting up the farm I still need to deal with by taking a look at water purification, which is going to be a major part of any colony I actually build, any space facility I actually build. And I really don't remember the appropriate numbers for this. I haven't done the math on what I'm supposed to do here, so I'm kind of just making it up as I go along. I know I promised planning. That's long since out the window. Alright, I clearly haven't figured out the right balance to strike with preparing food for everyone, so let's replant some of those blossom seeds. Also, this is not what I should be adding to that grid with so many other potential demands on it, but here we are. Alright then, and with that, I should be mostly done on the build orders for the decontamination area, and hopefully we can finish the decontamination area sooner rather than later. Well, I mean, finish is an interesting word. I do have the plumbing all lined up for bathroom and decontamination. There will be other needs for water, which, speaking of other needs for water, I suppose next up I'm going to need to put together some oxygen production, aren't I? And that completely bypasses the whole thing where I never did actually finish building the farm. But I'll get to that in a second, because there's kind of a big problem there. Yes, speaking of crises to deal with, this natural gas geyser is currently dormant, and that's the natural gas geyser I'm relying on to mostly power my base, which means my base has no power now, just straight up. I mean, I have other generators, but they're not the match for the natural gas generators I usually use, which means my base is probably going to be experiencing some power issues for the foreseeable future. And I'm not going to do anything about it. I probably should do something about it, but I'm not going to do anything about it just yet. However, it is something I do want to think forward to when the time comes to use this natural gas geyser for power, because its dormant period is long. And I'm going to need some kind of backup or some kind of storage to make sure that my system here can keep functioning properly. And I'm really not sure what kind of system that's going to look like. The amount of storage I would need to keep the gas generators running for the 40 cycles that the geyser will be dormant is going to be interesting. So yeah, I'm going to need some kind of backup power solution, and I still don't know what that backup power solution is going to be. Of course, I may need to consider putting a higher priority on solving power issues, given that that happens when my power isn't functioning properly. And another cycle or two later, I've finished an oxygen generating area for my base as well. With 6 duplicants in play, I should only need 1 electrolyzer. Should is an interesting phrase, right? I don't know what % efficiency I can expect to get off of that predicted 888 grams per second. So I guess we'll see. I do have space to build another one of these if I should need another one of these. I have space to build more than another one of these, so push comes to shove, we'll build another one. But for now, I'm going to hope I can get by with just one. That does, however, mean that at this point, with the basic idea for air setup, water, power, now I need food. And this means I really do need to deal with the problem at some point, which is to say, aside from the fact I missed that there is, in fact, a building already in this space, but even if there wasn't a building in this space, it's cold. I would like, if I can, I would like to use the bristleberries to provide food for my base. Just because the only thing the bristleberries need is water, and I'll have plenty of water coming in. However, they require a temperature of at least 5 degrees Celsius. Normally this is not a problem, because normally the problem is keeping it cool enough to grow plants, not warm enough to grow plants. At least that was the problem down here. The current air temperature in this area is way below 5 degrees Celsius, which means I actually need to heat this up if I intend to use any of this space as a farm. Or I go back to drywalling off an above ground farm and deal with the fact that the regolith here is over 100 degrees Celsius. Given my choices, I think I would rather try to heat up this area some. But like I said, I'm not actually sure how I'm going to go about doing that, so I suppose we'll see. Well, that's good timing, I suppose. I do feel like since I disabled the bristleberry farming here, I feel like I've been in a steady food catastrophe, and especially too since a decent amount of the food there in that calories available is food I've denied my duplicants from eating, especially the meal lice. So I'm gonna go back to at least all of this will be farming, and if that gives me a huge surplus of calories again, that's probably a good thing, not a bad thing. But really, a couple of cycles forward, the only thing I really need to do now is make sure I have my food set up, and that's gonna frustrate me. I feel like I want to do everything else first and try to get the base set up with everything except food, but I still don't think that having my duplicants travel to eat is going to be a very sustainable solution, all things considered. Still, I may have to put that off for a little bit until I have everything else set up and going. Alright, as I start assembling some of the storage and systems I need for both natural gas coming into those generators, and then hydrogen and oxygen coming out of the electrolyzer, including a kind of makeshift filter that will filter out the hydrogen and the oxygen, even though the vertical nature of that should do the sorting. I don't quite trust that enough to rely entirely on it, so we'll do it this way. But while I'm getting all that together, I am going to do one other thing, and that is I think I'm going to go ahead and take all this crap that's currently floating around in the base and just outright vent it into space. I will rely on the production to fill whatever holes are left as a result. And frankly, I probably could use this, probably should find some way of recovering it and reusing it, but I'm just going to open things up and go with it. Just once, can I have a situation where my duplicants don't get stuck? I swear. So, I'm going to open up those 2 doors at the top of the base and just vent all this crap out of here. Of course, my duplicants will still be in and out, building the rest of the vents and ventilation systems that I've ordered. But I'm actually fine with that. I'm fine with getting some of this out of here as well. I want to vent that room, unfortunately. I should have planned ahead to open that space earlier because I need that space to be filled with chlorine, and right now it's, you know, not. But we'll have to figure that out later. And at the dawn of cycle 223, with a lot of the guts of the base starting to come together, well, kind of, barely, sort of, maybe starting to come together, I really have to admit, I'm disappointed that I'm not ready to move duplicants in yet. But maybe trying to build a fully functional base completely from scratch that quickly was hoping for too much. At any rate, the time is soon to come when move-in happens. The guts of the base are coming together, and there's 1 or 2, again, not insurmountable problems, but I have to admit, some of the problems I'm facing feel insurmountable, or at least feel like they've put me in a bit of a catch-22, where, you know, to heat up some space that might be used for farming, I'm going to need power. To get this purification room, to get the water purifier working properly, I'm going to need power. I'm going to need to kind of cut apart the wall a little bit. And it feels like I can't really make the progress I want until I move duplicants in, and I can't move duplicants in until I make the progress that I want on things like water and food. So, we'll see how that ends next time. I think the day is soon to come when the lights turn on and I start trying to make all of these systems actually work, but that will happen next time. So, until then.